I want you to look at me. It's okay to stare. I promise I won't be offended if you do. What do you see? Looking at me right now, would you believe me if I told you that 5 years ago, on this very day, I was in a psych ward? It was not that long ago that this vibrant, captivating young woman standing before you tonight was being held under 24-hour surveillance because she had become a danger to herself. Now more than ever, our society is struggling with mental health. Many of us in this room may be suffering in silence, or perhaps we know someone close to us who is suffering. I believe it is important that we bring these conversations into the light. I am intimately familiar with mental health and the roadblocks that it presents us in life. But these roadblocks, as daunting as they were for me when I faced them, are actually what led me to a personal transformation. And that's how I see tonight's theme, Control, Alt, Delete. It's an opportunity to reset your life. For me, mental health has impacted my educational experience, the way that I interact with the world around me, and it's what led to my personal transformation. I'd like to begin by telling you about my first major challenge with mental health. I'm originally from rural Western Pennsylvania, and way back in fall of 2018, I just started my first semester at a prestigious liberal arts college right outside of Philadelphia. It was my dream school, and I really did love it when I started. I was surrounded by the smartest people I had ever met. Sure, were they all incredibly stressed out and very sleep deprived? Yes, but they seemed so successful, and I wanted to be just like them too. But I unfortunately quickly got swallowed up in the unhealthy overachiever culture of the college. And this high level of stress, combined with a particularly bad bout of insomnia, ended up triggering a hypomanic bipolar episode that landed me in the hospital for 10 days. When I was discharged, I tried to go back to class as if everything was normal, but something had definitely changed. And within a few weeks, I ended up being hospitalized again, this time for 5 days. And by the end of the semester, I was asked by college administrators to take a medical leave for the spring. During that time off, I was hospitalized 3 more times, and I saw countless psychiatrists, each with a different theory of what was wrong with me and a different list of medications that was going to make it all better. I started to undergo intense therapy to treat the depression and the suicidal ideation that was plaguing me every single day. And this all culminated with me attempting to end my life in February of 2019. Nearly losing my life to suicide was something that led me to a complete reset. Something about my mindset had led me to incorrectly conclude that this world would be a better place without me in it. And I realized that if I was going to continue living, but not only that, if I was ever going to be happy again, I needed to entirely redefine my worldview. So I hit Control, Alt, Delete. I dropped out of that school. I moved to Maryland, and I spent a year figuring out what does stability look like in my life. I decided to enroll at Anne Arundel Community College, and it was there that I made new friends, and I regained confidence in myself and my academic abilities. And eventually, I transferred here to Towson. The next area in my life that I've sought transformation is learning to make peace with the fact that I cannot control the way that other people see me, no matter how hard I try. Given my various diagnoses and neuroses, I feel very abnormal on the inside, and as a result, I go to great lengths to try to control everything that I can about myself, whether it's the clothes that I'm wearing, or the way that I'm talking, or the food that I put into my body. And I do this because I want so badly for anyone who sees me, including all of you in this room, to look at me and think, oh yeah, she looks totally normal. What a well-adjusted girl. And it does work to a certain extent because people who know me well often describe me like I'm a ray of sunshine. And I don't disagree with them because I know I have a really bubbly personality, and there are a lot of days where it feels like I'm floating around on a little cloud because I'm having such a good time in my life. But these moments of pure happiness are also punctuated by these extreme and utter lows that I feel. Over the last few months, I've really been struggling with my depression. And I've realized that no matter how hard I try to pretend like everything's fine and control the way that other people see me, there's things happening on the inside that are affecting me. And this extends to physical health too, because from what you can see, I look generally healthy, but I actually struggle with a chronic stomach condition known as irritable bowel syndrome, or IBS. I'm being totally honest when I tell you guys this. Just yesterday, I was getting a colonoscopy so that my doctors can figure out how best to treat my condition. And this is not something that most 24-year-olds have to do, but it is something that I had to do. So that's where I was yesterday. And tonight I'm here giving my own TEDx talk. So I'm pretty proud of myself for the turnaround. In this process, I've learned that my body and my mind are intrinsically linked. What happens to me mentally is gonna affect me physically and vice versa. According to the National Institutes of Health, people with IBS, like myself, have a threefold higher likelihood of experiencing anxiety and depression than somebody in normal or regular health. So for me, when I'm having a really stressful week, it can cause my stomach condition to flare, and when my stomach condition flares, it can exacerbate my pre-existing anxiety and depression. It's all connected. And so what I've realized is that if I'm struggling, I need to reach out and ask for support, because nobody's gonna know if anything is wrong if I don't tell them. And if you are struggling, do not be ashamed to reach out and ask for that extra help that you need. Finally, I'd like to tell you how I was able to achieve my own personal transformation. I know that I'm always going to struggle with my mental health in some way or another, because there's never going to be a day that I wake up and I don't have bipolar disorder. But I have found a way to be successful despite the chemical imbalances in my brain. And this is because two things can be true at once. I can be struggling with these invisible conditions, and I can be successful and very happy at the same time. And whether or not you've shared any of the things that I've talked about tonight does not prevent you from being able to seek a personal transformation. The first step in doing so is being honest with yourself about what you are feeling. Ask yourself, what am I ashamed of? What am I repressing? What's causing me pain? We all have trauma in our lives that, whether or not we realize it, is affecting the way that we interact with the world around us. I believe that we can and we should process that trauma. To quote the author James Baldwin, "Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced." And so I implore you to do the difficult work of staring directly into the parts of your soul that you are trying to hide from the world. And it is at that point that you will begin to find healing. To conclude, I've talked with you all about how mental health has impacted my college journey, how it's affected the way that I interact with the world and how the world interacts with me, and how it led to a personal transformation. Hitting Control-Alt-Delete in my life necessitated very intentional and deliberate steps towards change. And I understand how scary change sounds, I really do, but I promise you that what's actually scarier is not changing. So please hit Control-Alt-Delete on every voice in your head telling you that you are stuck in life, that your mental health does not matter, or that you have to deal with everything alone. And instead, embrace the idea that transformation is always possible if you are brave enough to take that first step. I know now that I am not the same girl that I was 5 years ago, alone in her hospital bed, questioning her place in this world. I am a vibrant, captivating young woman, and my story is still being written. Now it is up to all of you to go write your own story. Thank you.